Welcome, Wanderers, to the Masters of Sanctuary Clipcast. I'm your host, Cliptis, and we have a special one today. Not one, but two Diablo partners. With a very long time in the Diablo world, this is AoElena and Endo. Welcome, you two, to the podcast.
Hello, hello. We are honored to be here.
I'm very excited to get you two on here. So, for anybody that hasn't got to meet you yet, give me a little bit about the background of yourselves. What got you into gaming? And then how did you find Diablo 4?
All right, so I guess I'll start us off, but I'm AoElena. It's nice to meet you guys. I've always been a gamer, but ARPGs were kind of like unfamiliar territory for me until I met Endo. I'd say around 2021 is when he really became like my coach for build crafting and ARPGs. He thrives on like the math and the scaling and all things build crafting, but I was more about exploration and cosmetics and cool flashy powers, but I didn't really realize there was this whole other world to ARPGs, the math, the scaling, the numbers, the multiplicative, the additives. I just never really knew that existed. I was more into like Zelda and Cyberpunk and Red Dead Redemption 2.
All great games, though. All really good games.
Yeah, but Endo was like, hey, back in 2021, I believe, there's one of my favorite games that's been remade, and it's known as Diablo 2 Resurrected. And I was like, whoa, that's kind of old school looking, but this is new. And he's like, this is known as an ARPG. And he was like, I think you're going to love the Sorceress. You love those flashy characters. You love the fantasy and the imagination. And I was like, this isn't a game? What? I could be this crazy sorceress lady and build my own character. And he's like, absolutely. It's super customizable. And I'm in my brain thinking, oh, I get cool armor and cool gear. And no, he meant like you build your character.
You do.
But he showed me like different gear with different stats and how affixes and aspects scale, how they actually matter, and how you could synergize and make them build off of one another. And I never knew how much, math and synergy was involved in the games, but I got addicted to that. And I was like, I don't really understand this, but I want to keep growing. I want to keep thriving. I want to keep better understanding the system. There's so much learning. And my background is I was a special education teacher, got out
Oh,
of that,
cool.
got into streaming, but my brain was always wanting to learn and grow more. And Endo just had all this knowledge. And I'm like, you can apply all this intelligence into a video game and completely make it your own. I love that. But that
Yeah.
excitement kind of got us excited for Diablo 4 when it was early on announced. I'd say maybe it was even 2021 or 2022. We saw snippets of the rogue with the shadow imbuements, the sorceress with the crazy flashy moves,
Right.
the necromancer and his minions, and Endo was just so passionate, excited. He's like, this is a whole dark world. So you played Diablo 2 Resurrected, and you were like, wow, this is cool. Well, this is about to evolve. Blizzard is a huge gaming company, and this game is going to be huge. Like, you need to be streaming it. You need to be playing it. You're going to love it. And
Nice.
when the beta came out, we played it. And it felt like Christmas morning. Like, oh my gosh, get up! The beta's going to come out. Go fight Ashava. Get your exclusive trophy. And it was just so much. Like, I had no idea I would fall in love with an ARPG quite as much as Diablo 4. But that's kind of like my upbringing with ARPGs. Endo's got way more history than I do.
Well, why don't we dive into that? Endo, how did you get into the gaming world
I
here?
was born with an NES controller in my hand, so
Okay. Nice.
it's been a part of who I am. I really started gaming at 3 years old. First game was Metroid. Um, Beat my first game completely on my own without help at 7. It was Super Mario World.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
and just it's been a journey ever since, and now it's become, my lifestyle, not just my hobby or my fun. It's a major part of my life now. It's what I do every day, not just for fun.
That's
And
awesome,
that's
though.
that's different. It's a
Yeah.
different feeling doing this your whole life and being told you're wasting your damn time.
Right. Yep. And then going into this. So you're a full-time content creator, Endo?
Yes.
And then Alina, you also full-time
Oh
content
yeah,
creator?
we
Nice.
stream sometimes 7 days a week, but this is what we do. Like, we both quit our jobs from like daytime jobs to start streaming, and it really blew up. And it was because of Diablo 4 was a big reason that our community kind of turned into this big ARPG, even Souls like loving community. It's like they wanted the challenge, they wanted build diversity, and they wanted connection. They wanted Endo's knowledge, and I'm a little dorky and got some knowledge, but it's become this beautiful thing, and it's just we love it. We get to express ourselves in so many different ways.
I have to say, the Diablo 4 community is absolutely top-notch. everybody out there that has joined in the stream, in the Discord server, just played with me in the game has been amazing. I
Yes.
cannot say anything bad about them. It has been a great experience. And coming from doing first-person shooters, where it can get a little toxic, just a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit. This is
Yeah.
a this was a very, very nice change. I do have
some
one
MOBAs too,
question.
right?
Yes, exactly. Yes, some of those too. Those people get pretty angry. Going from, and this is honestly a personal question for me, going from your normal jobs to full-time content creators is probably a pretty scary jump. What was for
Ooh.
each of you at the points here you guys decided what was what was that like for you?
So it was actually Endo's idea. And he knew that, like, from my history and upbringing, like, wow, you love video games, you love talking to people, you love teaching. Have you considered streaming? And I'm like, what, like Pokimane? And he's like, no, like, get your own platform, connect with people. Don't just play Fortnite, but these games
Right.
like Diablo, um, Elden Ring was another one that came up. Even Zelda. He's like, have you considered getting in front of a camera and playing these games and connecting with people? And I was like, whoa, I haven't. And he's like, well, why don't you give it a try? And in 2021, I actually jumped on, did some League of Legends, and you know how toxic that community is. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, these people aren't very nice, but I had fun, and I was like, wow, I got 10 viewers on League of Legends. Look at me go, I'm cool. But I wasn't quite making money, so I was like, this is just maybe not for me. And I was still teaching at the time, so that was my full priority. But Endo was like, okay, it's been a little while. Why don't you try streaming? After school, like get back into it. Maybe not League of Legends. I really think you should do that. And I was like, and like I'm a believer, so I prayed and I was like, all right, God, drop a brick on my head. Like if this is the thing I'm supposed to be doing, make it obvious. Endo's been giving me these little nudges and pushes, and I feel something. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. And then what game was it? I think Dead Island 2 had come out, Hogwarts Legacy, and those weren't quite ARPGs, but they had some building in it. But the stream about a year later after that League of
Yeah,
Legends
they are.
spiel, about a year later, the stream blew up. And it
Nice.
blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the brick. You dropped a brick on my head. And financially and viewership wise, like all the boxes were just being checked. And I was like,
Wow,
okay,
that's awesome.
Endo was right. There is, like, I feel like God is screaming at me, stream, get connected with the people. You need to stream. You need to be doing this. And then when Diablo came out, it blew up. And I feel like that was a big landmark for our community. Because single player games, people come and go and whatnot. But with Diablo, these people kept coming back each season, wanting to connect. Show us Endo's Comfy Mancer build. AoElena, show us your build. How do you do this? And I just felt like, it's not a classroom of kids, but it felt like almost like a college room. It's like I have all these people gathered here. They're asking Endo questions. They're asking me questions. I'm asking questions. And it's like we're all connecting and talking and sharing ideas and passions. And it was just amazing. And then Endo, he's not on camera all the time, so it's nice that everybody gets to see him here. But he's in VC with me all day, every day. And eventually, once we got, that brick dropped, I quit my job and I was like, I'm done after this summer. I'm going to start streaming. And I didn't work. I just streamed. But that was more financially stable than teaching was. So I took that as my sign and haven't turned back. And I'd say that was 2022, I think, is when that really took off. And this December will be my third year starting. So it's been a blast.
Congratulations. That's really
Thank
awesome.
you.
What was it like for you, Endo?
Which part?
Going to a full-time content creator.
So it was slower for me. At first I was still working. Even when she was going full time, even after she quit, I was working a little bit. I'm still an animal breeder. I work with reptiles and dogs and cats,
cool.
and she does that too. And that's really right now, that's not a business. That's a hobby that makes us, some side money. That's a passion,
Right.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we definitely don't have the time anymore to like go big with any of that. So I was a massage therapist for 18 years.
Wow.
And it wasn't very hard to switch because I had, and I'm gonna try to not like slam anyone. I was fired because I didn't take the COVID vaccine.
Gotcha.
From where I was working for 3 years. So it was really kind of a relief to have, something here that was stable and that was something that was such a passionate thing for us,
Gotcha.
And
no,
it was easy, but it was a transition.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because I've been thinking about it myself, and it's definitely a scary thing. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's get
It can be a
back to-
plunge.
Oh yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah, so it's definitely something that it's like in here, but we're
Ooh.
waiting it out a little bit. So
Yeah, I get it. Very
so,
rewarding.
Alina, very yeah. So hopefully one day we'll get to make that jump. But Alina, this
Heck
next
yeah,
one is
man.
for you.
Okay.
I saw the reveal box that you opened up from Blizzard.
Oh, yes.
When did you join the Diablo Partner Program? And then
So,
how did you get the call from Diablo?
okay. So this was what was interesting to me, which was another, brick dropped on my head. So I had been streaming Diablo for maybe 6 months, I guess, after the beta came out. And it was kind of unexpected. And they actually DM'd me on X, and they were like, "Hi, we have selected you to receive a Diablo Complex collaboration box." I was like, "What is this?" And I Googled it, and I saw
Okay.
that Complex was like a brand that did like different things. And I was like, merchandise. I guess that's what this is. Let's check it out. Gave them my address and all of that. And I was like, thank you so much. I'll post on my social medias. And that's when you see
Right.
that box picture. But it was a hoodie with Lilith and Anarius and a Hot Ones hot sauce bottle called Lilith's Hatred. And I tried a
Amazing.
tiny drop of it. It was the most painful hot sauce I've had besides what Endo's made, because he loves hot sauces. And I'm like, you're gonna murder me. Let's not. But
That's
I joined.
awesome.
I made lots of content and even got connected. I think it was with Rax and Sarah. They're other content creators. They're wonderful. And I think they were hosting like a Diablo race, a Get to 100. And I've done one with a group of lovely ladies, but there was one several months before I got connected. We were like training, but sadly it didn't really work out because of timing. And I think it was near the holidays, but around December 2023, those they put a lovely word in for me. Sarah was hugely pivotal and helpful in me getting in the program. And she's like, I'm going to
That's
put
so
in a word
awesome.
for you. You have a great attitude, blah, blah, blah. I think you'd be good. And they reached out to me and were like, hey, you want to join? And I was like, yes, I love Diablo. This is all I do. And then,
That's so cool.
yes, there was Spiritborn testing where they were like, we're going to select some creators to test out Spiritborn. And I was chosen. So I'm freaking out. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
I have a co-streamer, Endo, and I have Viola on stream as well, and Ellie. I'm a family streamer, so it's like we're all on stream, on voice chat.
That's awesome.
Endo's like 24/7, but Viola and Ellie are a little bit less common, but people in the community still know them. So I was like, well, can I bring the fam on the trip? And they were like, yep, sounds good. And we got to meet the devs and talk, and that's actually when I was able to ask about getting Endo in the program. And they were like, absolutely, like he's on stream, he's a part of that, and he's a Diablo partner now as well. So it's really cool that we're able to connect with people and share our passion and do it as a family,
That is very cool. Well,
Yeah,
congrats
they
to you
said
both.
yes instantly.
Wow. Honestly, and I've been in the Diablo Partner Program for a couple months now, and everything that I've
Yay!
experienced from the devs, they've been really great.
Right?
Oh, yes. They're so
Yeah.
helpful and
I love their
communicative.
attitude. Mhm.
Yeah, it's been awesome. So I'm really glad that they just took that as like an instant yes.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that is. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's so cool. All right. So I gotta ask, going back through your history, how many different hair colors have you had during your time streaming?
You can't. Okay, so we've done. Initially, I'm a brunette. What you see at the roots, that's
Okay.
the base color. That's the all natural. I've been blonde. I've done black hair. All for Diablo, by the way, mind you. I've done red
for
hair.
Diablo. Nice.
Yes,
Okay.
faded into light pink hair, hot pink hair, icy blue, dark purple, which was for mythics when our mythics were recolored to purple.
Oh, cool.
Double purple with like a lavender mixed with a more reddish purple. And now it feels like a rainbow of blue and blonde and pretty colors. So you guys want to pick my 10th color, let me know.
You guys heard it here. Make sure wherever you hit 10, go pick the 10th color. Let's see what we get.
Exclusive, only on Cliptis.
On the podcast, exclusive to you. That is very cool. I can see really having an advantage of having, just a partnership, a family, like you said, right? So you have this family of streamers that you guys stream with also. You said Endo's on there all the time.
Yeah.
How is that? Like having that family behind you all the time, like backing you guys when you play?
It is incredible. It's like having like when you're a little kid and you're meeting at the park or in the neighborhood and you know you're going to go on a journey together. You're going to talk about things that affected your day. but you get to take that to the digital world of Diablo. And it's like we get to look at patch notes together. We get to discuss not only my perspective on balance changes or patch notes, but his perspective as well. We get to look for gear. And it's like
Okay.
lots of times I'm just focused on my end, like, oh, I'm going to be a sorceress. But now it's like, well, I've got Endo's perspective and he wants to be a necromancer. Let's start looking for gear for him, or let's look at things from his perspective. And it's just this really rare but incredible experience of playing this game with a buddy who can be with you 24/7. And whenever I have questions, I'm like, well, I can ask Endo. He's the brain here. And it's
Got
been awesome having a veteran basically right at my side, helping me out with anything I needed and helping me grow. And I'm sure he's probably had some awesome experiences as well. Just that partnership and that family vibe it's amazing, because I know gaming can feel lonely and lots of times people use it as an outlet. Like this is my chance to get out, and now it's like we get to kind of model, hey, this is what it's like having somebody by your side, and it's great. Come connect with us. You be a part of this, so it's very special.
That is very cool. What about you, Endo? What's it like on your end?
She doesn't let me off stream. It's
No.
leash.
He's in the dungeon forever.
Yeah. I'm her
That's
support
awesome.
endo.
Support Endo. Love it. That's good though, but that's fun. I do think that it's a really awesome dynamic to be able to have this community behind you. You have a push and a pull, somebody that likes to be the brains, dig in really hard, and then someone that can go out there and test it and be on stream and on camera all the time. I think that's a pretty cool thing that you guys have going.
Oh, yeah.
What I want to know, what are your favorite builds to play?
Ooh. I have like 3, so I'm gonna try and keep it short. Frozen Orb
Okay.
Conjuration Sorc. That was introduced with Fractured Winterglass, or is that what it's called? Fractured Winterglass Amulet, the one that doubled your conjurations, or your chance for a Frozen Orb, which spawned a conjuration, which spawned a Frozen Orb. It was a cycle. Spiritborn Quill Volley, that was just incredible. I love the speed. Twisting Blades Rogue. It was just, I love
Nice.
speedy, chaotic builds.
Me too. I actually have a little story for you about the Frozen Orcs, or the Frozen Orb Sork. Can't remember exactly what season this was. Maybe season 3.
Yeah.
I was fighting Lilith on a Frozen Orb Sork, but my goal was to beat Lilith before level 80 was the goal. So I would get on every day, and I would go to Lilith, and we started calling it the Baby Sork because it was never going to get to level 100. So every day I was like, all right, everybody, we're going to hop on the Baby Sork, and we're going to go and take this Frozen Orb build and try and kill Lilith. One of the people in the community actually made me a Baby Sork song, which I'll send it to you after you guys can listen to it.
I love it.
And it is hilarious. And I did get the kill at level 77.
Oh, that's awesome.
Ooh, look at
It
you.
was very, very hard. It took a lot of time, but it was a lot of fun. So I absolutely love that Frozen Orb build. That is very cool.
I
Word.
love
What
that.
about you? What are your favorite builds to play?
It's always gonna be Minion Necro for me.
Good choice.
I did Bone Spear a little bit and I enjoyed that as well, but I'm a Minion Necro person. Like
Nice.
I that's what I played in Diablo 2. I have high hopes that it's going to get a little bit more love soon. I'd like to see the meta broaden a good bit. So
Nice. I also played Minion Necromancer in Diablo 2. I wasn't super into it like I am now. I played Diablo 2 basically offline, just messing around as a kid, just hanging out and spawning as many minions as I possibly could. That was always the best part about it. So every single season of Diablo 4, I put together a minion build in the Necromancer. So it's a great choice. And I did play a little bit of Bone Spear, so I think I'm kind of following the same trajectory that you were playing there too. All right. With playing Diablo for so long, what is your all-time number 1 favorite build that you've played, and then what was your favorite season that you played it in?
Oh, okay. So for me, it's got a little bit of a sentimental value, but it has to be the Frozen Orb Conjuration Sorc, because that's when Endo actually had really pushed me. I think you should try to make your own build. You've played several seasons. You've gotten a little bit more advanced. So why don't you try and do something? And I was like, well, I love Sorceress, and I wish I could do something with conjurations. And he's like, well, there's this amulet you should be looking into. And I was like, oh, looked into this amulet and came up with the Frozen Orb Conjuration Sorc build. And Barricade, of course, made a way better variation. But that season, and it was like, check out these other builds and compare it. And I was like, dang, Barricade did it 10 times better. But instead of, like being a typical gamer and beating myself upside the head, I was like, you want to know what? I'm going to look at that build and I'm going to compare and see what am I missing? What gaps can I close? What are some learning moments here? And I realized there was more scaling, stacking I think it was tempering was still a thing in season 4, I think.
Yep.
But basically getting all of my affixes and stats scaled like the highest I could rather than spreading it out and doing a little bit of cold damage, a little bit of crit chance, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's like I noticed Barricade and other pro builders and Endo, of course, stacked certain affixes, and they were like, get this as high as you can, and you're really going to see the build take off. And for me, it was very powerful to kind of realize like this has been the gap. This is what I've been missing all along. I've been needing to see builds from this perspective because in my own brain, I thought get some power here, get some power there. But it's really about kind of min-maxing and looking for the best synergies and just stacking on certain affixes. So that really clicked with me. And I was like, wow, I made a build and it may not have been as pro as some of our other amazing creators out there, but it was chaotic, it was fun, it was flashy, and I learned how to make it better. So that'd be
that's
mine.
awesome. If you can make a build that you enjoy playing, I mean, that's what the game is all about. That's pretty cool. It doesn't have to be the best build out there. As long as it's fun, that is super important. All right, and Endo, what about you?
So again, it's gonna be the minions, but I don't remember which season it was, but the Holy Bolt elixir was the one time where minions felt really, really powerful, and unfortunately it was due to some buggy interactions.
That's what Diablo's all about, though.
Right. And you know what? I kind of hope we get a power back that, causes that cool explosive interaction between, like a minion kill that causes an explosion, right? We've just got that kind of from Ring of Mendel right now, but we'll see.
I really like the Holy Bolt elixirs.
It was so fun, right?
It was so much fun. Yeah. Even after they changed around the way that scaling from the damage worked for the Holy Bolt, I still use them. It was a very fun, visually flashy mechanic.
I agree.
That I really loved using. So that was pretty cool. Okay, so we're gonna start this next question with Alena. As the Frozen Orb Sorc being your favorite build, for anybody that is looking to, maybe they've never played a Sorc before or has played a Sorc and only done Lightning, but wants to hop onto that Frozen Orb Sorc, can you give anybody a couple short tips on what to expect and what to do before they hop onto it?
Absolutely. Don't be like me and be impulsive. That is bad. I would say the number one tip is start eyeballing your gear if you're a Sorc, or even if you're not, but you want to look for the Ring of Starless Skies for mana management. I would say that makes the build just so much less stressful. Otherwise, be willing to, look at your skills, look at your passives, and see what can I do to generate more mana while I'm in this interim of looking for Ring of Starless Skies. And I would say prepare and try to get yourself a good Fractured Winterglass Amulet. I'd say my big thing during that climb of getting that build working was suffering through not having enough mana regen or not having enough frozen orbs and then still being out of mana. So just prepare ahead of time and kind of either look at a build or kind of write out what are some pieces that I need and what can I kind of use now to bridge the gap. It's like, don't just immediately make that switch over because some of those skills and the synergies require high mana. So I'd just say be on the lookout for that.
Okay, awesome. So Endo, with the Summoner Necromancer. Now, everybody in my head has a different opinion of what a minion Necromancer should be, because it's a pretty broad range for what people expect it to be. So with this being your favorite build, and a couple tips for people that are going to hop onto it, can you tell people what to expect also out of a minion Necromancer and what it kind of is for Diablo 4?
Well, so right now, we're at the middle road of player power. We're in the meta, it farms really well. It can push the bosses really well, but it's not gonna push pit like some other classes will. I guess what I want, anyone who's a real minion fan, keep pushing the devs to buff us. That's the takeaway. Just push for it. We're gonna have a lot of fun leveling. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Farming Infernal Hordes does pretty good. It's just that pit push. Don't get too frustrated with it.
Okay.
That's my best advice. Don't get too frustrated if your buddy's pushing a 150 and you're maxed out at 90.
Okay, gotcha. So for the leveling process, because you mentioned leveling, minions are great for leveling.
Oh yeah, I love it for leveling. Very casual feel. If you're not wanting to just have a hyperactive play style while leveling or farming, minions are the way to go. Even in Infernal Hordes, I could just AFK on my last seasonal build, and the whole area would get cleared nearly instantly.
That is awesome, though. I love that. I actually played a minion build in the current season, and I think I must have made it the most complicated. I spammed keys constantly. It was
Oh
just
yeah,
like, it was just a huge, huge spam. But I do like that laid back style of you pop into the Infernal Hordes, you get your little corner, and then everything just dies.
yeah, yeah.
That
Basically, all
is,
I needed to do was pop Soul Rift. I didn't
oh,
have to
perfect.
do anything else. Just wander around with the Soul Rift and press triangle sometimes on PlayStation controller.
That is awesome. All right, I got a final question here. With the roadmap out for Diablo 4, the devs commenting on some of the feedback, this is what they're saying is a very rough outline. What are your thoughts on the future of Diablo 4 based on this roadmap that they put out?
So I was eyeballing the roadmap today, and kind of recently I've been looking at it because I'm like, it is the next few months we actually get to see for 2025. But content-wise, I think it's very exciting. You know, they're bringing horologic powers to Diablo 4, and that makes me think
Yeah.
there's a lot of potential for creativity and even lore and lots of new powers. I love the theme of that. And then there's this dungeon escalation concept. So that tells me, ooh, we're getting a new challenge, a new type of power spike content where we got to apply ourselves, you know? And then the Infernal Horde's going to be changed. We don't really know what that means yet, but something's coming with Infernal Horde. And then IP collabs. So I'm like eyeballing all these little hot words, and I'm like, ooh, that's got me looking forward to it. But in as silly as it sounds, I think they're introducing like a new pet, and I'm like, ooh, cosmetics. So it's like I am excited about that. But on a more serious note, it's just I'm wanting to see Diablo really communicate with the players, and they do, but I'm wanting to see more communication about, hey, we're working on class balance still. Hey, we know this is a bug and we're still working on it. Like, I don't know if there's a long-term list that they have or that they've done, because they discuss things with us in their dev streams, and I love it. But on these roadmaps, I would definitely like to see more like things that are kind of like thorns in people's sides or gripes. It's like I'd love to see them say, hey guys, we hear you and we're working on this, more's coming. And for the most
Okay.
part, they do in dev streams, but on a roadmap, I would love to see like game changing things rather than just thematic. I would love to see these are your problems and we see them, guys, we're working on them. But you know, I'm not a dev. I don't really know what that side's like. That's
Of course.
my 2 cents.
Yeah, honestly, it seems like it'd be a very, very hard job to be a developer of a game, especially a game that is
Oh
like this
yeah.
big here.
Woo!
It's massive and it's a lot bigger than people give it credit for. There is a lot in the end game that there is, and I know people like to say that there is not a lot of end game in Diablo 4, but there is a
Mm.
lot of activities. A lot
Yeah.
more than a lot of ARPGs that are out on the market right now.
Oh yeah.
The challenge from some of these podcasts I've done, the challenge what people have brought up is that it's just vertical. There's the only escalating challenge is
Uh-huh.
the pits. So seeing that Nightmare Dungeon escalation seems like it's
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
I'm
And
excited.
tormented bosses. Yeah. The
Yeah.
bosses seem like they're going to have some level of challenge to them this time. And I hope for that. I would like to see a slider for the tormented bosses similar to the pit. Once we get to the point in our build where we are literally instantly killing those bosses, it starts to feel like we're just playing a slot machine rather than
Right.
fighting a boss. And I don't think that's a good look.
Okay. Somebody commented in one of the other interviews that I did that the direction that they want to feel like they're farming content to kill bosses, not they're farming bosses to do content.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think overall, I like to farm. I like to grind.
Mhm.
But I don't like for that grind to feel unchallenging or brainless. So
Okay.
finding that balance is a massive challenge for the devs. And my heart goes out to them.
Yeah.
It's a crazy balance to go for because not a lot of games can accomplish that within the correct margins, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there's a very, very wide range of players out there, and with games being more accessible to everyone,
yeah.
it makes it a very, very challenging concept to hit the mark for everybody. So,
And I know that's one of the things Diablo's been going for is they don't want to lose their casual crowd, but if they cater too much to the casual crowd, then they're hurting their more, difficult content crowd, right?
right.
Um, so finding that balance as well, that's intense because we
Yeah.
we don't want the mindless that, I want the challenge. I play for challenging content. That's fun to me. I want it to be difficult, but I don't think difficulty is just making health bars spongier, right? It's
Right.
Uber Lilith fight, man. That's a fun fight.
That
That
is a
was a
very fun
hard
fight.
fight. That was a Souls-like feeling fight. You know what I'm saying? And Uber Duriel became just a one button, right? He was dead in under a second. And
Yep.
all the last season, zero effort. I hope we see some more difficulty coming from Uber Duriel.
Well,
I'm looking forward to that.
I don't know if you wanted the spoilers, but I did get to play the PTR,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I mean, feel free. Go say whatever you need to.
and the bosses, they had mechanics to them now. Duriel is no
Mhm.
longer able to be one shot at all. It is
Oh,
impossible to do it now. There's
Oh, I
phases.
love that.
There's abilities. There are abilities that on Torment 4 feel like basically a one shot if you don't avoid it. It is very
uh-oh.
seeable. It's very visual. You can see where it is. It's very easy to get out of. But if you're not paying attention, you explode.
Great, great. He
Which,
needs to be a
Nice.
threatening boss. I
yeah,
loved
and
Andariel's mechanics too. I think she was a fun boss, but here's the problem. People were avoiding Andariel, which was a funner, more challenging fight,
yes, yeah,
but it wasn't more rewarding than Duriel. And Duriel was, oh, he's dead. Oh, he's dead. Oh,
right,
he's dead.
yeah,
Right?
Same reward, different effort. Yeah.
exactly. Same reward, different effort.
But yeah,
So
I'm excited now. It's good to hear. I did not do
yeah,
the
Yeah.
PTR. I
yeah,
watched a lot of the PTR,
they
but
added Belial in, and on the
yeah.
PTR there were a couple instances where Belial died really quick. And to your point, where you don't think that health scaling should just be the way to make things more difficult, they did increase the damage and they increased the life a little bit of Belial,
Yeah.
but they added in some new hidden mechanics that we didn't get to see on the public test realm.
I saw that
So,
in the notes.
so that's really cool. They're thinking outside of just that life scaling going up. Now we're going to start getting maybe a new mechanic or maybe a new ability or a new something that they're going to add in that's just outside of that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Good.
exciting. And the way that the boss ladder works now, I'm actually pretty excited. You have your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3
Yeah.
bosses, and it can just go up from there. So it should
And
be a pretty
didn't
fun,
they
exciting
say
season.
didn't
Go
they
ahead.
say that Belial has 2 or 2.5 times the mythic drop rate of other bosses right now?
Yep.
Oh.
That's
hmm
nice. That's nice. And he can
So
pick from any pool.
and I believe I have to go back and look. It might just be Torment 4, but you get guaranteed 2 ancestral unique items.
Hmm.
And you can pick the bosses that you want them to drop from. So let's
I
say
love
you
it.
need, for me, barbarian. Lord Zir has the most barbarian loot. There's a ton of stuff for
Sure.
barbarians there. I go kill Belial. I get to pick the boss that I want the loot to drop from. I pick Lord Zir. I get 2 guaranteed ancestral uniques from that boss. So it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Instead of killing boss after boss after boss after boss
Mhm.
and having no ancestral uniques drop at all, I think this is going to be a very fun thing to dip our toes into, and I think it's just the beginning. So,
Heck yeah.
all right, well,
Heck
that
yeah,
was the
dude.
last question that I had for you two. Thank you so much for doing this for me. Before we hop off here, I want each of you, if you can, let me know, let the people know where to find you. Now, we're recording for viewers and also for people that are listening. So if you want to spell it out so that everybody knows exactly where to find you and where you're at in your content creation world, that would be awesome.
All right. So I am AoElena, and you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/AoElena, AoElena. The same is for TikTok. And then on YouTube, same as well. Um,
Perfect.
on X and Instagram, it is it's AoElena, and that's about it. But I'm primarily on Twitch and YouTube, and then I post on all my socials.
And I'm
Nice.
wherever she is.
Okay,
Make it
perfect.
easy.
Nice and easy. Well, that is all I have. Thank you, everybody, for watching and for listening. Hopefully, I will catch you on the next episode of the Masters of Sanctuary podcast.